Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Are you wealthier than you think? Bold question, right? With headlines full of stories of crippling debt and retirement crises and people being unable to afford a $1,000 emergency, it doesn't always feel like we're doing well financially. But what if I told you that there was something called phantom wealth and that you may be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars wealthier than you actually feel? This specific article was featured in the Wall Street Journal, entitled "The Dramatic Turnaround in Millennials' Finances. Soaring home prices and solid investments have helped boost a generation once considered perpetually behind." The most prominent driver of this wealth increase has been through home ownership. A lot of the times when we have these broad studies that attempt to answer the question, how are we doing as a generation? They try to look at wealth as an expectation. Really, it's how wealthy is the present generation compared to previous generations on an inflation-adjusted basis. And for most of recent history, the narrative has really been that millennials are lagging behind where their parents were. But now the narrative is starting to take a turn. In 2016, millennials had significantly less wealth compared to their parents when they were the same age. Fast forward to today, and they've made an incredible turnaround, now having 37% more wealth than baby boomers did at comparable ages. That's a massive 75-point swing in just 8 years. And we are seeing a similar narrative with Gen Z. Gen Z is said to be about 39% wealthier than their parents. Now, of course, as is the case in life, this increase in wealth wasn't distributed evenly among all members of a generation. A disproportionate share went to those who were already homeowners. Notably, we could look at those who bought homes in 2010 or later, and especially those who bought homes prior to the surge in home prices in the pandemic time. The median home price back in 2010 was around $220,000. Fast forward to today, that median home price is over $400,000. Even if someone bought, say, in 2020, the median home price was about $317,000, which is roughly $100,000 less than today's median home price. So if you were fortunate enough with your timing to buy your home 4 years ago, you may very well have seen your net worth in terms of home equity increase by nearly $100,000, all while your housing costs have remained fairly steady and you're chipping away at a mortgage. That is quite a dramatic increase in a very short period of time. And it's swings like this that can really speak to how powerful homeownership can be. Following the pandemic, home prices rose dramatically, and that benefit went to those who were already existing homeowners. The other category that has really helped to propel the net worth of younger generations forward has been the stock market and investments in index funds, mutual funds, and stocks. Younger generations have benefited greatly from being able to invest early. With each generation, the typical starting age to begin investing has become younger and younger. And so much of this comes down to the narrative about money and investing changing. Financial education is much more widely available than it ever has been, and it's more acceptable to talk about money these days. There's a huge mass accessibility to investing. You can simply invest in fractional shares or invest small amounts like $20 a week by clicking an app on your phone. That's nothing like what investing was 10 or 20 years ago. Back when I started to invest, you actually had to pick up a newspaper and look up the stock you wanted to invest in, then go to the phone that hung on the wall in the kitchen with 20 feet of cord, call your broker, and execute the trade. There were more barriers to entry, and investing was, quite frankly, more expensive. Just consider that the collective wealth of millennials and older Gen Z members was just $4.5 trillion 4 years ago. Fast forward to today, and that number is $14.2 trillion. Their wealth level has more than tripled in just 4 years' time. That's an incredible rate of growth. Consider that in just the past 5 years alone, the S&P 500 itself has nearly doubled. So it's been a phenomenal time to be invested in the market and have your money working for you. But if you follow this channel, you know that's what I always say. It doesn't matter how the market's performing. It doesn't matter what phase of life you're in. Keep investing and keep invested, no matter what's going on. There's no point in trying to time the market, hopping in and out. Who's got time for that? Just put your money in the market and let it ride. Now, like I said, these wealth increases have not hit all members of the generation equally. About 73% of civilian workers have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan, but only 56% participate. And noteworthy, only 35% of people say they invest outside of an employer-sponsored retirement plan. So for most people, if the workplace doesn't offer a retirement benefits plan, they're not investing, period. And even for those who have access to an employer-sponsored plan, only about half of them are participating. So if someone is in this age group, but they're not a homeowner, and they're not investing in the market in one way or another, they're likely falling further and further behind those of their cohort. They're not enjoying the surges in what Wall Street Journal has dubbed phantom wealth. And I do think we have to take a moment to discuss the phantom part of this phantom wealth. If your home has increased in value in the marketplace and you could sell it for a higher price today, yes, your net worth has increased. And if you're invested in the stock market and you're riding this wonderful bull market that we've been in for the past handful of years, you're probably seeing the statement balance on your investments go up, and that probably feels amazing, as it should. But the reason they assign the word phantom to it is that this wealth may not be tangible, or at least not tangible in the moment. If your net worth is tied up in your home, that's not really accessible to you until you sell your home. But you have to live someplace, so if you sell the home you're living in, you're likely going to take the proceeds from that sale to buy another home. Of course, you may have the option to do something like a home equity line of credit, but being that I think being debt-free is pretty awesome and something we should strive for, I don't really like the idea of borrowing against your home. It's hard enough to pay it off once, why go through the hassle of having to pay it off twice? And being that most investors invest through employer-sponsored retirement plans, think the 401k, the 403b, a TSP for government employees, or on an individual level through an IRA, these tax-advantaged accounts come with stipulations. And mainly that stipulation is there are restrictions on when you can access this money without any penalty. For most, it's full retirement age, which is 59 and a half, but depending on the stipulations of the plan, maybe as early as 55. So while you've been investing and maybe you're seeing your net worth increase and you're seeing your investments increase in value, maybe that doesn't affect your day-to-day living because you can't really access this money quite yet. At the same time, this is a generation that's heavily burdened with student loan debt, and we just went through a period of very high inflation, the highest we've seen in nearly 40 years, so the cost of living is up across the board. And for many in this generation, they're also in the midst of being young parents or new parents, and the cost of childcare is significantly higher today than it ever has been. And wages certainly haven't kept pace with inflation. And then consider those who aren't yet homeowners, but would like to be. They're trying to enter when the housing market is at near record high prices. Combine that with mortgage rates that are sitting at higher levels than we've seen in decades, and this makes housing very unaffordable and a stretch for many. For many, if they were to run a net worth statement, they may very well find themselves in an exponentially better place today than they were just a handful of years ago. But the net worth statement doesn't tell the whole story. That's kind of why I think this phantom wealth moniker can be very fitting in this situation. You may have seen your net worth grow exponentially over the past handful of years, but at the same time, you may feel on the day-to-day that your budget is getting tighter and tighter. Watching your investments in your 401k double probably feels good, but it doesn't do a lot in terms of affordability in your day-to-day life. Watching your home value increase probably feels good, but if you need to live in your home, it probably doesn't do much in terms of affordability of your day-to-day life. But actually, it does keep your housing costs steady, so I should be careful how I phrase that one because that is a big win. Many in my generation are seeing big gains in net worth, but that doesn't always translate to feeling wealthier in daily life. I hope you're among those reaping the benefits of this surge. And remember, steady investing and investing for the long haul, that's what wins the race. And just because there's been recent surges in the housing market and in the stock market, if you haven't been invested, it doesn't mean you missed the boat. There's never a better time to start investing than today. So get started as soon as you can if you haven't been an investor. What are your thoughts on phantom wealth? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Question, right? With headlines full of Am I in the center? I think that's center. Maybe tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars wealthier. That was a stumble. I didn't like it. Swings. I hate starting sometimes. Flow is good. Getting to start, hard. Paving or what phase of life you're in. And let it ride the upwave that event. And let it ride. Mortgage rates that are what are that suck.